good day in one of the small end flower beds. Some cinquefoil here. So there's a big root of it there. Come on. I've just been rescuing some geraniums from my next door neighbour's plot, because they've grown over the winter and they don't want them there. Oh, that's another weed there. So I've just rescued some. They've got a deep taproot, you can see here. So I want to get that in as deep in here as possible. Go on, Mr. Taproot. Another taproot, cinquefoil. Gosh, it's breezy today. Geraniums, of course, don't like particularly rich soil. I'm going to put this one, not sure if you can see this one. Let's move that out the way and that out the way. Put this one here. This is where I sowed sunflowers, which got munched. So I'm hoping that these won't be munched. I don't think they will be. I don't think they're particularly liked by slugs and snails. Might be the scent. Yeah, anyway, that's a little job almost done on this breezy bank holiday Monday. Of course, there is another job to do with these before I leave them to their own devices. That's a good drenching done, and I'll leave it for about another 15-20 minutes, give them another drenching, and then I'll most probably do the same before I go home, which is not going to be too far off today because it's pretty chilly. It's pretty chilly. Quite cold overnight, went down to about 4 degrees, but hopefully from this point on the temperature starts increasing. So yeah, fingers crossed. Wouldn't mind another hot spell, but don't really want any cold spells. At the back here we've got 4 of those geraniums that I've taken out and potted up. They're going to go into our grow house. They'll have a water very shortly. Then at the front here are the 6 kohlrabi that we were given, which are brassicas. These 3 tall ones are Groninger Brussels sprouts. And there's 4 of our dazzling blue kale crossed with Portuguese cabbage over here. One at the back, not if you can see this one here, a little bit yellow, not quite sure why that one's quite so yellow, but I think they want to go in anyway. Yeah, there's some roots coming through the bottom. These definitely want to go in. Because it's pretty breezy today, I'm just going to show you where I'm going to put them. I'll lay them out and then I'll give them a good water afterwards. My battery ran out, so apologies. I did place them out, but then with the battery run out, I just put them in. So these are our kohlrabi. There's 1 Brussels sprout here, 2 in the middle over there, and then down the edge here are 4 Portuguese cabbage stroke dazzling blue kale. They've been well watered in, and what I also did is when I dug the hole for each, I put in 2 handfuls of rich compost, 2 or 3 handfuls, mixed it in with the soil that was already there, so they've been placed into relatively rich soil now, soil and compost mix, which is great. It's actually started raining, so I'm going to call it quits for today. There's also quite a few people down here with power tools. Some people who are sort of fair weather gardeners come down each year and use power tools to get on top of things and then let it go immediately again afterwards. But anyway, hey ho. I have been making some nettle tea. We'll look at nettle tea again maybe next week, but one of my fellow plotters said they wanted some roots of nettle, so I've taken this area of nettle out, made nettle tea with it, or am making nettle tea with it, and I've said to her that she can dig all the roots of nettle from here. She wants a patch on her own plot, so yeah, that sounds good to me. Right, I'm going to leave it there. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. I've been looking at our Precosum garlic for a couple of weeks, thinking that the leaves are dying back much earlier than usual. I'd normally be harvesting garlic at the end of May, but with no scapes coming up and the leaves dying back, I just thought I'd go in and see how they're actually developing. And you know what? They're developing really well. I mean, these are sort of decent size. This one is the biggest. I can feel this one here has split, and I can feel that one has split as well. But I'd expect them still to be growing a bit, and with hardneck garlic you expect to get scapes, you expect for them to go to seed, because that's part of what they do, and that in hardneck garlic doesn't actually affect the garlic bulb below. And in fact you can harvest the scapes as a completely separate harvest to harvesting the bulbs. But I thought I'd have a little look and see how they're doing, and you know what, I think I'm going to leave these for another week or so, maybe even till the end of the month. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start using them. We've got no garlic in the house, so instead of buying garlic with them at this stage, it's sensible for me to get on and eat them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm noticing there is a little bit of rust beginning on some of them. There's some rust, not sure if you can see it, which is not really going to do a huge amount of damage. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these, and considering the state that they're in, the good state that they're in, yeah, I'm going to leave them for a few weeks longer, but I'm going to harvest them as and when I need them. The brassicas that I put in earlier in the week are doing fine. They've had quite a bit of water. They've also had a little bit of pecking from birds, I can see, but I think they'll survive that. I'm keeping an eye on our broad beans. They're looking grand. There's a lot of ladybirds beginning to arrive. Not seen any ladybird larvae yet, and it's the larvae that really goes to town on the black fly that you can mostly see is on these. So yeah, I'm just going to keep an eye on those. Our chard is beginning to bolt. You can see that there in the middle. And yeah, I hadn't expected the chard to bolt quite so quickly, but that's my error. Of course, it should be bolting at this time of year because it wants to go to seed, having grown last year. Anyway, quite a few people are saying how things are looking good. I mean, I am trying to keep on top of things this year. You can see on the table there, that's our red curry squash and our courgettes. Just leaving them out of the greenhouse during the day. I'm hardening them off, and they will be going into the polytunnel, which is cooler at night, before I go home. Cooler at night than the greenhouse, I mean. There's areas that I still need to pick up on for weeds. There's still buckets of weeds behind those josterberries over there. But yeah, I have concentrated on the areas where we're going to be growing food this year. Where I haven't concentrated is areas where we're not growing food. So if I come over here, this is an area that needs a really good tidy, this whole area. So my plot goes up to just beyond the shed there, just beyond the side of the shed. And you can see here, this isn't tidy at all. However, what I had found is that it's rather liked by our resident grass snake, who likes this area here. And during the afternoon last week when it was really, or an afternoon last week where it was really warm, the grass snake was basking there. And I also saw it basking at the back, just in front of those pallets. So the area might be untidy and need a lot of work, which I hopefully will get onto in the coming weeks. But I'm going to be mindful that the grass snake is around, and she's quite big. You know, she's well over a metre now, so she's getting on a bit. So she doesn't want to be turfed out of her home. However, the rest of the plot, yeah, I want to try and keep on top of weeds and getting things in and growing them. And that's what I hope to do. Anyway, I will see you another day for a further segment of A Week at the Plot. And just look over there at how wonderful the ceanothus is looking. Glorious. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. We're in Kew Palace at Kew Gardens. Just looking at the grapes along here. And then we come over here. Look at that enormous fig tree. Quite majestic. Yeah, we're at the Queen's Garden. As you can see, there's some laburnum. Not as much as we thought there might be. I think some of it has gone over. You can see that bit there. That's already flowered. And then this bit here is flowering. All the medicinal and medicinal herbs here, and then we go, oh, that's Kew Palace. That wooden structure I think is a lift. We've been here before. Oh, look at those blackbirds. Can you see? One on the hedge, one dived into the shrubbery, and one on the wall. Oh, we're coming up there. Oh, well, we'll flit over then. There's Richard over there. Oh, it's just glorious. Part in sunshine, part in shade. We saw that tree over there. Can you see in the distance? There's a road just beyond there where we drive down to Park Fenella, and I saw that tree and I thought, gosh, that's lovely. I must get the name of that tree. But wow, this is looking wonderful. So these are all, it's a sunken herbal garden, all medicinal. Cardoons or artichokes there. Yeah, the blackbirds diving through, a few sparrows. Oh, it's all rather lovely. It's early in the morning. It's just gone 8, and in fact we were the first people at Brentford Gate and the only customers, if you like, visitors that we saw. Saw work people but no visitors. Oh, but look at this, look at that, the Burnham. Not sure if it'll focus. Anyway, onwards. There's Kew Palace. This is the garden from the other end. Rather lovely. Look at this sea kale down here. That's fantastic. And lovely to see a nice patch of nettles as well. And that tree, somebody mentioned this tree on Planet Vegetaria the other day. Well, not this tree, but this is a Judas tree. Looks rather lovely. I'm going to have to look that up because I don't know much about the Judas tree. And this is the back of Kew Palace and their gardens. So at the front they have a lot of lavender. Here they have a lot of Santolina, but then you can see there that there's lavender as well. So this will look fantastic, won't it, in like 2 months time, 6 weeks time, maybe even 4 weeks if we get lots of sun, with the Santolina out and the lavender out and the box hedge borders, which you can see have suffered from box blight. There's Richard over there. He's not standing on top of that hedge or kneeling, he's on another area. Oh yeah, but look, that's magnificent. Yeah, lovely. We were just walking by this bed and thought, what's that orange thing? And it's a little sort of lawnmower. So it's obviously here just to, well, not just, this is quite a large area to mow. But isn't that fabulous? Little lawnmower. Oh, it's cute. No, I know, I find it fascinating. It must have sort of programming in it.
Smaller than I thought they were.
I think that's fabulous. You could get one for the back garden. They're mostly only about 500 quid.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it, it's going... No, it's not. No, it's not. It's going to turn around.
It's not going to go anywhere else. It's going to stay on this bench. Go and do some over there.
That's the palm house. I don't think that's open. Well, it's not open at this time. We're at early morning opening between 8 and 10. So, yeah, it's not open at the moment. But look at that wisteria over there. Oh, but I'm just fascinated by this. Fascinated. Don't know why. I just am. After a morning at Kew and a couple of hours, well, 3 hours at my desk, I'm now back at the plot. I pricked out these cosmos the other day, The square ones are mainly for me or to give here, round ones for our gate sale. Cucumbers doing okay now, pretty strong actually. Think I might start hardening these off next week. 4 gifted tomatoes that came to me. Our pricked out tomatoes are all doing okay here. And over on the bench over there, or you can't see it, let's go over there. On the bench here we have our hardening off squash and courgettes, which are doing fine, and then spring onions, which will be going out relatively soon, sometime next week, and also those beetroot. So they have come out of the polytunnel and have been out here a couple of nights now, and these have been outside during the day for a good few days, and last night I left them out because it was 7 degrees minimum temperature overnight, so that was okay, and they look to have survived well. So yeah, happy with that. They can stay out and harden off here before planting out, maybe at the weekend. Anyway, after a lovely morning at Kew, a few hours at my desk and a little time at the plot, it's time for me to go back home. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'll see you again soon. Bye. Good day. It's Saturday afternoon, and if you watched a week at the plot last week, you'll know that on the other side of this I'd had wood for quite a long time on the other side of this wooden raised bed, and it had just harboured lots of slugs. When I realised that, I took the wood away. Most of the wood is going to be burnt on the bonfire, social that we'll have in November, but a lot of the wood had been eaten away, had deteriorated because of the slugs inhabiting the area for so long and munching away. And this bed is now, which is normally a carrots and parsnip bed, is now going to be a courgette bed. I've changed my plans quite a lot for this year, and I've decided I'm going to put courgettes in here. What I'm going to do for that is boost the soil and give the soil a really good water, because I expect to be planting the did I say cucumbers or courgettes? Can't remember. Cucumbers within the next week or so. But in the meantime, I had to do some remedial work to this bed to make sure that the compost wasn't going to fall out on the other side, which we'll look at in a minute. So basically I moved the compost away from the edge of the bed and have used some slates that I've got, roofing slates, to be the barrier for this year between the compost and the wood, because we'll have a look in a minute, the wood, it has just been eaten away. Let's have a quick look. I think you can see the grey slate at the bottom here and in the gaps here. So you can see that that wood, I mean look, it's just broken away there. It was eaten away. So that slate is my barrier for the compost this year. I think if we're here for another year, this won't remain a raised bed. I think this will become an edge bed, but we'll see, But basically it means that this little bit of remedial work means that I can carry on growing in this area this year, which is the important thing. I've got some spare slate down here. The Taunton Deane Perennial Kale, which is here, the root goes down this area. Yeah, I'll use these bits down here when I can get into that area, but at the moment the root is in there. Let's just have a quick look at that Taunton Deane, because it is a beast, a rather fabulous beast. This is where the root comes from. This is where I plunged it into the bed a year ago, less than a year ago. And yeah, this is all Taunton Deane. Yeah, I mean, there's some really nice cuttings that I could take from here that I will take. Look at this one, that's quite a nice young cutting to take there. Not sure if you can see down. And there's a few in here as well, because I do need to reduce the size of this. But you may remember we did put some cuttings in of this a few weeks ago. So this beast, that's about maybe 2 meters by 1.5 meters deep. If we come over here, oh sorry, this one here and this one here, they're cuttings from that plant, so I expect them to grow really relatively big. I'm not sure if you can see through there, but we've got our annual Hamwell Hootie today, and the streets are just chocker with cars parked up and people. So I'm not going to be down here too long. We did have a work social down here this morning and did a lot of good work, but yeah, not going to be down here too long. Another quite eclectic a week at the plot, including that trip to Kew Gardens, which was lovely. I'm just going to put a couple of bags of compost, rich compost, onto this raised bed that I've just worked on, and give it a really good water as well. I most probably won't break up the compost too much as I'm doing it. I'll just sort of do it, put it on top, and then I'll give it a good work and rake maybe tomorrow when the compost underneath is wetter, because at the moment that compost is really dry. And I've decided that I'm going to put, as I say, the cucumbers are going in that bed. At the front I'm going to put courgettes where I was going to put squash. I'm going to put our red curry squash between our broad beans and let them grow on there, because by the time the broad beans have finished, those squash will be really getting into their stride. So I think that's a good use of that bed. This bed here, I think I may do in front of the greenhouse, I may use for beans as I originally thought. The tomato bed is going to be the bed by the cardoons at the front there. I need a bed for the beetroot, which I think is going to be, I think I might even put some beetroot and maybe even some of those spring onions between the brassicas, because those brassicas, they need to grow on, you know, quite considerably, and the beetroot and the onions will have come to harvest by the time those brassicas are going. I mean, ready, you know, going for it to be ready to harvest. I've got another bed over there by the quince, which I think might be turnips. I might direct sow some turnips and some beetroot and some more spring onions. Where we've got the garlic, I think I'm going to put tomatoes. You saw that bed earlier on. And then at the back, this side bed by the side compost bin and the perennial compost bin, I think that's either going to be beans or further. I think that's going to be beans. Yeah, I'm still working around. I've decided not to do carrots and parsnips, as I say. No particular reason. I've left them a bit late for how I would want them. I think I will do a bed of Autumn King carrots, which I'll be sowing maybe in a month's time, or maybe even 6 weeks time. So I'll do some autumn sown carrots. So yeah, I mean, at the moment organic carrots at Lidl and parsnips are pretty decent. Well, particularly carrots are a pretty decent price. So I think it's sensible to get more courgettes, more squash and more cucumbers, because we use a lot of cucumbers. You know, if we can be self-sufficient in cucumbers from, let's say, the middle of June possibly through to early October, that would save an awful lot. And because of the work social we had this morning, my shed has got tools in it that are other tenants' tools who may have not been able to come this morning, but they lent various tools, trimmers, loppers, that type of thing. Those need to go back to everybody, so they're in my shed for safekeeping for the moment, rather than being kept in the communal shed. The communal shed, anyone can go in there and borrow anything, so yeah, best in here. Anyway, I'm going to excuse me, top that bed up with compost and give it a water, and then I will be wending my way through the throng of people that are out there, and go home to read my book, I think. So yeah, the Hanwell hooting is not something that I or we attend or volunteer for, but I'm happy to hear the music on the wind, and whilst I'm getting on with my work here, you know, it's not a problem. Yeah. Anyway, any comments, any suggestions, please do leave them down below. Any questions as well. And I will see you next week for a further segment of A Week at the Plot as we go through the week on Planet Vegetaria. And I'll see you again on YouTube in another week for another full upload. In the meantime, I hope you are getting on with your things if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and maybe you're getting on with a lot of harvesting if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. See you very soon, and happy growing. Bye.